Well, Cassadee, should we go ahead and introduce our guest?
That would be great.
All right.
Sounds good.
I will do that. From the Independent Order of Oddfellows, I'd like to introduce Barney Leach and David Ace Adams.
Welcome, guys. It's so nice to have you here today.
Very nice, very nice. Why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about where you're from and what you do?
I'm from up just outside of Minneapolis at the town of Excelsior. Our lodge there is the Minnetonka Lodge, 102, the IOOF. Well, I've been a member of that lodge for better than 65 years. So
Wow.
It's been a wonderful experience for me.
David?
I belong to the lodge over in Winnebago. It's called Winnebago City Lodge, number 30. I live here in Fairmont, Minnesota, and been a past Grand Master in 2008, and I'm currently the Grand Representative for the jurisdiction of Minnesota.
Well, so we have some experienced and knowledgeable Oddfellows to talk to
Yes, we
today.
do.
We
We
definitely do. And I think the question that maybe a lot of our audience and viewers might be thinking is exactly what is an Oddfellow? What are the Oddfellows?
Well, it's a fraternal order that we, it started in England at the time, where they, the mining areas where they'd lose miners in the deal, and they were a group that took care of the widows.
Okay.
I see.
Widows and the orphans, and that's one of the main things that the Oddfellows do, is they maintain orphanages and homes for the, well, as they get older, have
Sure.
nursing homes and stuff. So,
So it was an organization that was originated to help people.
yes.
And why was that considered something odd to do? I mean, it's just such a unique name.
It is.
Back in Europe in the medieval times, you got to remember that there was a class system, and there was very few people that stepped outside of that class, and the Oddfellows was a way to bring the common people together to help each other bury their dead, help out the widow when there was a widow involved, pay some sick benefits, basically help people and those in need. And then after they were outside the membership, then they'd reach out to the community after that too.
Sure, and it surely seems to be something that survived for years and years and moved over to our country and our part of the country too. So here in Minnesota, how many organizations of Oddfellows exist today?
There's about 20 lodges of Oddfellows and about 10 lodges of the Rebeccas, which is the sister organization.
Okay. I was just going to ask about that. And
Yeah.
if girls or ladies involved, or
Yeah, the Rebeccas are basically drive the same way with the efforts to help the community and do the good things. To if people need help, they seem to get it.
so I know that the Order of the Oddfellows is involved with lots of different kind of organizations to help visually impaired and study blindness. Can you talk about some of those, maybe?
We do give out low vision machines. I don't know how many we have out now, but there were somebody that's hard can't see well. They can lay a book in this and bring it up on the screen and adjust the contrast and everything,
Wow.
so they can actually read it. And we have several out in the state. We also have high intensity lamps that we give out.
The Oddfellows also have a chair at the Wilmer Institute. They chair a professorship that teaches the students that come there to do that, and they raise millions of dollars. They're up to like $5.2 million in that
Wow.
endowment fund of
Wow.
teaching doctors to become eye doctors and working with being able to
That's
have the
amazing.
surgery, laser surgeries, and all that stuff. So it's really been an important aspect too on the visual service side.
You said there's other things going on, kind of just right here in the state. You mentioned some international.
Internationally, we do a lot of things for arthritis. SOS Children's Village in Thailand, in Cambodia. Some of the Norway branches have SOS programs in Brazil and other countries. There's also Education Foundation for kids to get to school, continuing their education. There's a United Nations Pilgrimage for Youth for sophomores and juniors in high school.
Wow.
They take a tour every summer.
How cool! Do you have to apply to go to that, like as a youth, or and there are kids involved too in the organization? Because I know we mentioned the women, and you kind of think, oh, adults with doing some of these things, but kids too.
Yeah, we have a youth group in our lodge that
Oh, really?
And the kids think they use that as part of their graduation thing. They doing a service.
Sure.
Sure.
And that is part of the schooling with the youth group we have, and they're active as raising money and doing things, and then they donate their money to all kinds of things. So it's really interesting to watch the young people grow and get in the spirit of the thing.
Right.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And then you've got leaders coming on up.
Yep. And traveling around Minnesota here, we notice there's a lot of buildings that have the Oddfellows symbol on them. Now, does that indicate that the Oddfellows actually constructed those buildings?
Yeah, the 3 links, or IOOF, or Independent Order of Oddfellows, you'll see those markings on a lot of buildings in the downtown. They're usually one of the bigger or taller buildings. The hall was the upstairs portion of the building, and the downstairs was a rental property to raise some income for the hosting lodge.
Oh, that makes sense.
And that's where you held your meetings and...
Oddfellows meetings usually run weekly, especially in the olden days when everybody they used that as a social and economic way to get together and network with their fellow membership.
Does every state have a chapter?
Just about every state, 28 countries in the world.
And I was noticing too, there's like suggestions for recruitment and things like that. I mean, is that something you guys have been active in, or certain things you look for?
We try and recruit, but it's kind of tough to get people to volunteer their time because they're pretty busy. If they got a family, and they kind of defend that a little bit and don't want to get involved too much.
You wouldn't think it'd be odd to want to help people and commit the time to do that, but it really does take a commitment of time to do that. And folks, the recruitment process has enclosed itself in, as with many organizations in the past, the fraternal structures have enclosed themselves in, but we've got so many great programs and things and opportunities. You either join a lodge to help something that you need visually, or with the Education Foundation or something like that, or you join a lodge to be able to help others achieve those goals too. So
I imagine recruiting people nowadays would be kind of tough. Do you use social media at all to attract people in?
We're starting to get into the Facebook world, and the website's been undergoing some construction things on the international level.
Now, you mentioned earlier that the more successful lodges meet once a week. What defines a successful lodge?
I think one that's stepping forward and doing all the programs. In June and July this year, in the summertime, we do a youth camp at German Lake for 10 to 12-year-old kids. The United Nations Pilgrimage for Youth candidates were selected in October and January. There's arthritis things going on. There's the nursing home projects at Northfield. There's all kinds of different things that are going on. In order to get enough time and committees together to work on it, it takes a lot of commitment to get it together.
Oh, absolutely.
So our home in Northfield is really growing in different aspects. It's they have the new unit for the Alzheimer's. That is fantastic what they've got that set up. And
I see you have there's a web address for the, is that just for the entire organization there?
That is, yes. IOOF.org.
We've heard a lot about what the lodges are like now. What did a lodge look like, let's say, 50 years ago? What would I expect to find? And I don't mean to direct this right at you.
With our lodge, when I first joined, there was probably 2 rows of men sitting all around the hall. It had 2 rows of seats, and now it's not quite that heavily used, but
well, they're nice big halls too.
Yes,
I mean, this isn't like just 24 guys.
It's set up, but the head chairs, they're all kind of ornate chairs that we have for the Noble Grand and his supporters, and then Vice Grand at the other end, and he's the one next in charge, the Vice Grand, after the Noble Grand retires.
Okay.
And so they're all set up that way, plus they have a chaplain station on one side and the junior pass grand on the other side. We have, so there's chairs on each side that have an officer.
Names,
definitely.
titles.
Well, with that much history, you would think, some of the things that pass on would be unique that way. And speaking of unique, it looks like you have a unique looking piece there.
We do here. This really explains all the degree work. Somebody has done all the fine little artwork, and each one of these is fine little characters explaining some of the symbology of
Can you see that?
Odd Fellowship.
Put your glasses on there, Serge.
I think maybe the glasses might need to be a little bit bigger, but just the regular. But some pretty neat stuff here. Odd Fellowship is taught through degree work. There's the initiatory degree, which lets you join the lodge and teaches you that you're part of a worldwide brotherhood of family and men and women together that are together working for a better cause. There's a degree of friendship and a degree of brotherly love, where neighbor to neighbor, always opening a hand to someone in need. But and you can learn and read and try to understand it, but you actually need to become a member to understand the mystery of the organization and how it's all together.
So becoming a member is not just joining.
Correct.
You don't just join, you actually learn.
You got to learn some things as you go through the chairs and figure out where you're at.
That's awesome.
So if somebody wants to join, how do they get in contact with the Odd Fellows to join?
Yeah.
Membership requires three things. You got to believe in a supreme being. We don't instruct you and teach you or command you to believe in any one way or one religion over another. We actually have laws forbidding you to argue politics or religion within the lodge room.
But just to have
that's a good rule.
Yeah, it's a good rule. It's sometimes pretty hard to enforce. You must be 16 years of age to become an Odd Fellow or Rebecca. You can join the junior lodges at 10 years old.
Okay.
And you've got to have a fraternal spirit. You got to qualify yourself that you want to be able to help others. We'd like to reactivate lodges in some of the communities around. It takes 15 members to get a new lodge started again.
Okay.
That's it. It's 15. How is it decided which organization or what your next focus is going to be on helping people?
We did find a family this year that there's a gal and 5 kids. She's lost her job. They didn't have anything. And so we collected all kinds of gifts for the kids. This is holiday season.
Aww.
So, and this is where our youth group got into it. You know, they all went out and they each bought a present for each one of the 5 kids and the mother.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And
nice.
That youth group did that.
That
Each
is
one.
so neat.
And I guess she just broke down and she said, I didn't think I could ever do anything for my kids for Christmas.
Do you do a lot of stuff around the holidays then?
Each individual lodge can make your choices like you're asking about. So if a member has a certain need, I know our local lodge over in Winnebago had built a ramp for a member who needed access to his house. He had knee surgery and needed some help doing that. Well, from there we used the used material to build another ramp, and then we built another one and the word got out. So we've built probably a dozen ramps now in the last 5-6 years.
So that would help probably with your recruitment then, because everybody, the people that do join the lodge know that they will be helping out locally rather than nationally.
You know, you want to be there to see the face of the mom getting the presents, but you know, you didn't have to have all those good feelings and to hear how much it helped her.
Right.
And I got to see some cool pictures. What do you have over there?
I do not know.
What do you guys know about this here?
The caricature in the middle, the picture in the middle is Thomas Wilde. He's noted as the founder of the organization here in the United States. It was founded in Baltimore, Maryland in 1819. There were several other lodges that had started up prior to that, but this was the one that was recognized the official startup, and from there the order has grown and moved westward as civilization and progress moved. So did the Odd Fellowship. It came along with the railroad tracks and the communities as they built up and jobs were made available. One lodge would send a new member seeking out work or employment, move them on to the next community. A lodge would start up, that lodge would fund him, find him a job. They would help build the communities and move westward. So, yeah, again, all the symbology is around in the corners.
All that.
An Odd Fellow is commanded to relieve the distressed, bury the dead, educate the orphan, and visit the sick.
Wow.
There is so much on there. It's really neat.
There is.
And I suppose you learn about each of those things as you grow in the
Right, it's all part of the degree work that you learn as Odd Fellows.
The eye is the all-seeing eye of God that you see
up at the top.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, you really do have a fantastic organization, and I'm glad you guys came on. That's about all the time we have for us today. But
Oh, we have to go already.
I think so. But we really want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys so much. It was so wonderful having you here. And I get you, and
good.
your studio audience too. Thank you for joining us. Man, I got so enthralled. I almost forgot you guys were here. But thanks for joining us for the Cocklebur Morning Show, where we read out the big stories throughout St. Clair County and beyond.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.